Welcome to One Leg Up, where we discuss how you can deliver the very best customer experience and how you can achieve zero marketing waste. I'm Ed Davis, the Chief Operations Ninja here at One Leg, and today we have a very special episode of our podcast. If you are a regular listener of this show, you know that One Leg has a focus on the home improvement industry. We work with all types of companies, big and small, but we are very fortunate to get to work with a number of entrepreneurs who are in some stage of startup or ramp up of a new business, a new home improvement business. And today we've invited 3 of our clients on to talk about their experiences in starting and scaling their businesses. And we're really looking forward to this conversation. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the guys from the newest company to the oldest, which that is a little bit of a dig at Mr. Shoemaker there. First of all, we have Seth Converse from Purple Home Improvements, and they are based out of Southern Michigan. And then next we have Ryan Keene of Mode Renovation in Los Angeles. And then lastly, and certainly not least, we're really happy to have one of the busiest men in home improvement, Chris Shoemaker of Everest Home Improvement. How are you all doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. And Seth, we were just talking about this before we started the recording. And Seth is doing what all home improvement companies do. They are on the move. They are constantly on the go. It's actually quite amazing that I've gotten Chris and Ryan to be sitting in an office to do this podcast. So, Seth, be careful. I know you're trying to get someplace. So be careful in that. I don't want this to turn into a whole different type of podcast there. There you go. That's right. Right. So, like I said, this has got to be one of the coolest episodes of One Leg Up we've done so far. And I think one of the things that's most interesting about all 3 of your companies is that none of your businesses, I think, are older than 3 years. Chris, you all are what, 2.5, nearly 3 years old?
July actually will be 4. So, yeah.
Okay. So, excuse me. Okay. Yeah. So, so you're youngish. And Seth, you, of course, are the baby of the group. Although I have to note that I think probably collectively between the 3 of you, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of something like 30 plus years of experience in the home improvement industry. Nice. So you know, we don't lack for that for sure. And I think the other interesting attribute about each one of your businesses is you all have a common theme with how you all made the decision to start a home improvement in a business. And without, you don't need to talk about former employers and all that kind of stuff. But I would like to give everybody just a sense of how each of you came into your current business. And I'll start with Chris, if you don't mind.
So, was in the, obviously the home improvement industry for about 13, 14 years with one company. We'll call them Old Co. And we at Old Co. just had the experience, moving up within the company from a gutter sales rep and just moving my way up to the point of managing a huge team of sales reps. So, and throughout that process, decided at about year 14, wanted to kind of get a different look at another side of the industry and left there and went to the remodeling side, interior, and really opened my eyes to a whole different part of the industry and how people go about doing business and just the different way you can ask for a customer's business. And from there, just kind of sparked the interest in, hey, we can do this ourselves, and just having the knowledge that we did at 2 different companies, we just decided to take a chance on ourselves, and here we are.
Perfect. And Ryan, you and your partner Andrew sort of came about that decision in a very similar way.
Did.
Yes?
I mean, kind of my backstory. I took the unconventional route. I'm still pretty young, but once I got out of high school, I didn't go to college. I went straight into the field, and I did plumbing for 3 years. That's all I did. And then from there, I actually got hired at Old Co too, Chris. So I worked as well. And
It's a nationwide company.
Yeah. I started off at the very bottom there, and same thing over I think about 6 years. I worked my way up to general manager position. And after that, I thought, let's take a risk. It's a little boring. Let's step in to some new territory, get uncomfortable. And really, I want to change how contractors do business in Southern California. So.
And Seth, not to belabor it, but you and Brant are very similar to Chris and Ryan's individual stories with Old Co. If I'm not mistaken.
Similar. So I pretty much my entire life have been in the home improvement industry from a installation standpoint. So my dad has built every house that he's ever owned his entire life. When I was 4 years old, I remember helping pick up shingles and playing on the dirt piles as a kid. And the first jobs I ever had, was actually redoing my aunt's roof with my uncle when I was about 17, 18 years old to make some extra cash before I went to college. Had pretty much always done a sales job outside of that. And the only two things that were ever consistent that I did was sales, and I would help do home improvement stuff on the side. And so I got into a home improvement sales job about 6 years ago. Just a kind of fluke thing. Had never done something that was 100% commission. I thought it was insane, but I saw how much money you could make. And, within about 4 months, I started to help train other people and did ride-alongs. And then I worked my way up, same thing, into a management role and, helped grow that company to a team of about 25 reps at one point.
And now we've all decided to take a flyer. And, ironically, Vic and I, similar situation, different type of industry, but, lots of experience. Worked at Old Co. in the marketing department and decided, maybe we can do this a little bit differently, a little bit better. And I think that actually brings us nicely to another attribute that all of you share, actually, which is, and listeners of this podcast regularly will hear us talk about the one call close and how we're not the world's biggest fans of that. And really what we're interested in is something we like to call a relationship selling model versus essentially a purely transactional selling model. And interestingly, all three of you, as we've gotten to know you and your businesses, this is one of the areas that you have talked about. And I'd like to come to Chris first, because Chris, your business, quite interestingly, is almost 100% built on referrals. And I think the referrals come from, no high pressure tactics, no, hey, if you just want to call and talk and we don't do a deal with you for a year, so be it. We're here as a resource. And that's an active decision that you and Randy have both made.
Yeah. We had obviously experience in a one call close environment. Like I said, I moved over to the remodeling world and got access to, I was tasked with kind of building out a sales process within that company, even though it was remodeling world. And I'd never done that before. So I was kind of taking some of the things I had from the past and trying to integrate it into a more relationship type sale and build out a process for them. And within the first couple of days there, listening to the designers and talking with customers and just the different types of questions they were asking customers as opposed to what I was used to, even from, getting a target budget out of somebody for a project, for a large kitchen remodel project and them telling, we wanted to spend around $70,000. Just like, in the first meeting with a customer, I was blown away at that. And so really just, what we pride ourselves on here is, relationship sales also too in the industry kind of has a negative connotation, because if you say you're in relationship sales, then everyone thinks, you don't care about closing anyone and you don't care about earning someone's business. It's just whenever, call me back. And that's not true at all. I think all three of us here would say, even though we're more relationship based, I still want to earn someone's business, right? I still want to I still want to prove that we're the right company for you. And I like to call it more collaboration sales, right? We're collaborating with our customers on their projects. We want to find the best product for them. We want to get them exactly what they want for their home. And today might not be that day where they're ready to say yes. That's okay. And that's really the only difference. But it doesn't mean I don't want to earn their business. I definitely do, right?
Right. Well, and Seth, I think you all have actually articulated that in terms of how you talk about the business, in terms of this idea of you want to earn the loyalty of the customer.
Yeah, that's actually, where we came up with our tagline was, get the loyal treatment. And, we did the one call close for so long, and seeing, the only people that really benefit from the one call close were a very small amount of salespeople and the owner of whatever company that is. The customer didn't benefit in any single way at all. And when I got to a point, being in that process for so long, I didn't feel comfortable if any of my family members wanted to get an estimate from our company. I didn't feel comfortable with it. I shouldn't have to feel like the only person that should be able to go out to quote somebody I know is me, because I feel like I need to protect them from where I work. And
and that's definitely not
to do things a different way.
Yeah. And so, and Ryan, I think, I remember the first conversation that I had with you. That was one, hey, I don't want to feel weird and bad when I talk to customers, and I want to make sure that they get a quality that you, from a personal standpoint,
yeah, I mean, it's kind
expect.
of like what Chris said. People think that, it's not that we don't want to earn business. Obviously, we need jobs, we need business, we want that opportunity. But it's more of if we're a good fit for each other. That's kind of what I tell them when I talk to them. I just want to come out, take a look at the bathroom, kitchen, whatever it is. Let's make sure we're a good fit for each other. And even on that first time, we really don't talk about price. We talk about the space. We talk about what it's going to be used for. Is it for your kids? Is it for, when your relatives come stay in town, you want them to have a nice shower? And that kind of starts opening the conversation, and it builds another level of trust. And so now they believe that I'm there for their best interest, not trying to make a quick sale.
Yeah, and I think that, just coming back to you, Chris, because we've had these conversations as well about when you actually listen to what clients are looking for, what their challenges are, what they want to use the space for and all that, versus going in there and going, well, I need to sell 3 bath installs this month. Or I think what you all have found is actually opportunities ultimately present themselves.
Yeah. And I think, look, at Oldco, right? When you're a rep or you're a manager and you're training a system, and you have to, you're responsible to do that system, right? And it's that methodology that we believe that we have to run through all these things to be able to ask you for your business. And this is the system that I got to follow to be able to do so. And that's not necessarily the case, right? You can have an open-ended conversation with a customer about what their goals are with their project. Like Ryan talked about. I think when you can do those things, I would argue that it actually makes the customer want to work with you even more, because they do realize, hey, this isn't just about the sale to this company. This is about them wanting us to really get what we want for our home.
Yep. No, that's right. And so I think one of the things we lightly touched on, but it is one of the things that, again, there's a few interesting red threads that run through the personalities that are within each of your businesses, as well as the businesses themselves, is you all have been open to exploring what really is taboo or seen as a dirty word in the home improvement industry. And of course, I'm talking about the B word, brand. There's a lot of home improvement companies that, as a marketing agency, if you went and said, "Hey, we want to have a conversation about your brand," the reply you're going to get is, "There's nothing wrong with our logo. What's wrong with our brand?" Right? And I think all three of you have been open to this conversation around a brand is really the totality of what your culture is, the symbols and imagery that you use, as well as the vision that you have for your company. And I think all three of you have embraced that to a great degree. Can you talk about a little bit why you've been open to that conversation when so many of your colleagues, they see it as, well, I've made my logo, I put it on my truck, I don't need to have a conversation about my brand anymore?
Well,
Ryan?
it was funny. The first meeting we had with Ed, we had a different name, and he goes, "We tell him about it." It's like, "Oh, we'll schedule a follow-up meeting." The second meeting is like, "Yeah, we want to change your name completely. Here's what we're gonna do instead. Here's this, here's that." And we're like, oh, looked at each other. We're like, all right, let's go for it, because it is true. It's I would say 90% of home remodelers out there are contractors. All of their branding, logos, names are all kind of the same. It's some picture of a hammer and a shovel, and it's so and so construction. And I wanted to be different. I wanted us to stand out a little bit more, and I think if we can focus on the branding aspect of it, it's going to also attract more clients to us, make us more memorable. And that's what I wanted to leave like an impression. Even if we didn't sell the job, even if they went with someone else, I want them to remember Mode because we're different and we stand out. So that's why I was open to it.
And Seth, you came to this realization before you even talked to anybody at One Leg. I mean, you went the purple home improvements route, which was, I don't mean this the way that it sounds, is random, right? It's not necessarily grounded in what you would normally see as home improvement iconography.
Yeah, and I wish I had a cooler story of how I came up with it. I had this vision for a company, to be a different way for over a year. This is the kind of thing that I would think about when I was like mowing the lawn for an hour and a half. Man, if I had my own company, I would do this, and I wish we could do this instead. And there's no way I could do it here. And actually, I owned another small business. It was I'm actually a fifth generation contractor. My great grandfather had a business that was Converse construction way before you needed business licenses and all this stuff. And so I wanted to start that LLC, and I actually did it to help run a couple rental properties that we had at the time. And I started thinking about, okay, well, I'll use this logo that I have saved on my phone. It was this little purple house icon, and I really liked it because it was just different than anything I'd seen. I think I liked it because, honestly, the colors of the hometown I'm from are purple and white, and so I don't know if that just stuck in the back of my mind or not. And I started thinking about all the other companies that were around that were builders, and I couldn't remember any of their names. I knew there was a million builders around, but I didn't remember, Tom Evelston's building or whatever. I couldn't remember their last names, but I would always remember, a color or something simple like that. And I thought, what, when I go to look up this logo in my phone where it's saved, the only way I can find it is I have to type purple house in my phone. And that's how this thing pops up in my thing. And I was like, and if I can remember that, everybody should remember that. And that's about as simple as it gets how I came up with the name. I didn't want to use my last name because nobody would remember it. But if you can remember a 10-pack of Crayola and all those colors, you should remember the color purple.
There you go.
This is that's fair. And so, Chris, you and Randy have embraced the idea of values and living your values and the idea of culture. What's driven that? Is that just, well, that's just who we are, or have I think I know the answer. Have you and Randy actually had this conscious conversation about, this is the type of business we want to be, this is how we want to treat people?
I just think it goes, I think, one, it comes from experiences. right? When you're in a larger company and in every room in the company, the values are on the wall, and you got to constantly be reminded of what your values. You start to question, like, why do we have to constantly talk about who we are and what we believe in? Like, shouldn't we just embody that, right? Like, why do we have to say we're honest, right? Shouldn't we just be honest? Why do we have to have integrity? Shouldn't we just have that? And so it kind of morphed from that of just wanting to put one foot in front of the other, and as hopefully as we grow this thing into the future, and we have people that are working for us and a team around us, that we embody that culture, and we embody those things that we want to be without even saying it. That, hey, this is the type of leadership and leaders that they are, and we're going to act the same way whether I'm around them or not. If they're with a customer, they're going to act the same way that I would in the home, and they're going to treat our customers the same way that we would to our installation crews, our teams. They're going to take care of the customer in the same way. And the reason we weren't scared of having that conversation about branding and building that is because we just felt total trust in the One Leg team and what you guys represent. And so, we again talk about my word of the day, collaboration. We just felt that we could, collaborate with you guys on that. And obviously I know what I don't know. And I don't know how to build out that marketing plan and that branding plan. And so, that's why we wanted to work with you guys and use your expertise.
Well, we didn't bring you on here to talk about us. We want to talk about you, but
Chris,
I certainly appreciate that.
I was like, well, I know construction. I don't know marketing. These guys know marketing. We're going to go make it easy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I see we've lost Seth. I hope he
was using his turn signals.
There's not something wrong.
It sounded like he was driving the right way. Maybe.
Yeah. Good. So I'm just trying to think, like, what's going to happen now. Are we going to be missing his track, and are we going to have like dead space? If so, then I'm going to have some fun with that, and we will put something up in his stead. Right. But let's power through. The last little bit that I wanted to cover off here is, Chris, you all are going to be 4 years old. Ryan,
we're coming up on one.
You all are
couple months.
4 months. Yeah, 4 months away from being one.
We're in there.
What are the learnings? What are the learnings that, if somebody else is listening to this and they're working at Old Co and they've finally decided that they're going to go start, a landscape service or they want to do gutters or roofs, what are the learnings of getting your own home improvement business started up that you might be able to share?
I think one of our values is evolve and adapt, and that is extremely key, especially when you're starting a new company, because you have your week planned out this way, and then it goes this way, and in that moment you got to be able to turn on a dime, get it back, get a plan set in place, and just keep rolling with it. So definitely evolving and adapting. That's all aspects on. Jobs don't always go the way they're planned. Employees don't always work the way that they're supposed to work out. There's so many different things. And for me, I knew going into it, that's part of the game. So I was already mentally prepared for that. And I'm really good at just, when something comes up, let's find the solution, let's move forward in that direction. So definitely be ready for things to not go as planned. Make sure you're good with that. And also, it's surround yourself with whatever I lack. I try to find people to surround myself that make up the difference. So if I'm good at these things, that's great. But if I don't know marketing, if I'm not good on computers, if I can't do the installs, right, I'm going to go find these people to build up the team. So as a whole, we can hit every area. It's not all just on me, and I have to trust those other people.
Yep. Seth, you're back. We were worried something might have happened, so we're.
No, my phone said it was overheating and it shut down on me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we were just talking about learnings of new startup home improvement companies and what you might be able to share with those who might be considering starting their own home improvement industry. I mean, you're the one who just have come out of this process. I totally appreciate, your fifth generation and whatnot, but I mean, I think you just got your business license and your trade license and whatnot here in the last 30 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, everything
so what could you share that would be a learning for somebody?
Everything takes twice as long and costs more than you think.
No.
It's not all that bad. It's not all that bad. Everybody's really supportive is the first thing. You might feel like you're on an island when you first start out. But everybody I've talked to has been nothing but supportive. Sometimes too supportive. It's a little weird. But no, kind of the biggest advice that I could give, because I am still pretty much in startup mode, is, follow the path that you set. If you have a vision for what you want it to be, don't stray from it. Use the motivation that you had that made you leave your company or leave your 6-figure job and your comfort, that made you jump ship. Keep swimming in that direction.
Yep. Chris, is there something that, like a year or two on, you didn't expect that you all sort of were challenged by that, might be helpful for somebody to know to be on the lookout for, like Ryan and Seth, because they're going to be there in a year or two.
Watch out for a global pandemic.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yeah. For as much as you can avoid it.
You should be fine. I would second all the things that, Ryan and Seth both said. I'll go kind of a little bit of a different route. I'll start with the vision, right? I think you need the vision. I would offer up a book. I think it's called Start with the End in Mind. And regardless of what the end is for you, if that means you want to sell the company at a specific point, you want to build it to keep it in the family and pass it on to kids or whatnot, or you want to build it to get to a specific point and maintain it, and continue to build relationships from the company, whatever that is, be conscientious of that, of what your ultimate goal is. And then it becomes a little bit easier to reverse engineer that, right? You think about sports, Everyone has a goal to win the Super Bowl, but it's okay, but how do we get there? Right. We're going to need this many wins. We're going to need these type of players. So they're going to fit our system, and fit what we're trying to accomplish. And those things may change over time. Right. You may want to grow a business that you want to pass on to your kids. And then 15 years from now, somebody offers you an extraordinary amount of money for it. And you sell it, right? Which happened to somebody that I know recently. So, that's all part of the game. But I think it becomes a little bit easier. I shouldn't say easier because it's like Seth said, it's hard. But to have that vision and that goal, it becomes a little bit easier to reverse engineer it and start to build the process around that to get to that goal. And then one of the other things I'll say, Ryan's coming up on a year being in business, and Seth just started out. 7 out of 10 home improvement companies go in and out of business within the first 5 years, right? And 50% of those companies go out of business in the first year. And by the time you get to year 10, 9 out of the 10 companies, there's one left standing, right? So, and that's not to deter anyone from getting in this business. But I think a big thing that's underestimated with when you're starting a company and building it is the financial elements of the business, right? Is knowing your numbers, knowing what you have to do from a profitability standpoint, to keeping money within the business and building your capital so that you're geared up for growth when you need to grow, and that you can spend a little bit more on marketing when you need to get through some hard times, or you have the ability to hire when you need to hire, like Ryan talked about. If there's something that we need to hire for, that we can do that. I have the luxury of, my father owns an accounting firm, and I grew up in the accounting firm. And so I just know the number parts of it, the part of it. And so I talk to him almost every day about the financial part of the business, because I want to know that. I want to know what it takes to run the business. And so I think if you could really dive into your numbers and know your numbers and, know what makes your company tick, you will be light years ahead of the game when you start out. And that way you can spearhead growth if you want to go that route.
Ryan, what do we talk about? What have we been talking about lately? Cash flow.
Wait, what did you say? You
Managing
said
the cash flow.
Revenue is vanity. What was it? You're going to repeat it for us.
Profit. Yeah.
Yep.
Revenue is vanity. Profitability is sanity.
That's right.
And cash is king.
That's been our biggest problem. It's and definitely having people around me that know a little bit more than I do. Because once again, I'm a construction guy. I'm not a numbers guy. So having those people around me and the cash flow has definitely been in the last month, the hardest challenge, getting that figured.
Yeah, and that's understandable. That's a whole part of the business too. And when you're thinking about it, no one ever talks about that side of it, right? It's because especially at Oldco, you got layers upon layers upon layers of people. I got a whole accounting department, right, and the CFO and all these things. And no one ever talks about that with you, right? And then you decide one day, hey, let's do this. I'm going to do this myself and get out there and do this. And then a couple months in, I started having conversations with my dad, and he starts reviewing all this stuff with me. And I'm like, wait, hold on a second. What are we going to do here? So it's a total part of the business that obviously it's crucial. It's the most important part because obviously you need to make a profit to stay in business. But I would say dive into that and know that.
Yep. Right. Well, with that piece of fantastic advice, I think we'll leave that right there. And that's a great place to stop. I want to thank all three of our guests, Seth, Ryan, and Chris, for coming on today. It really is an honor to have all of you with me. And we're really proud that we get a chance to work with each of you every day. So thank you for that as well. We hope you've enjoyed our chat and learned a couple things. As always, we here at One Leg believe poor marketing pollutes the planet, and that business is full of tired, outdated, indistinct, unremarkable, and underperforming marketing that sucks. But what sucks even more is that many companies have forgotten the most important thing of all, the customer. And we're on a mission on behalf of our clients' customers to change that. To learn more, go to zeromarketingwaste.com where you can subscribe to our blog and this very podcast. You can also find us and follow us by looking for Mingo the Flamingo and the One Leg handle wherever you socialize online. Thank you. Talk to you next time.